All right, let's see how this is going to work. I already have. I will announce ahead of time that I came across a bug in the whole thing this morning, so there'll be more talk, less demo. Necessarily anticipated, but it's not a big deal. But it's more than having an hour to fix it, like it is. But it'll get something.
You don't want to crowdsource bug fixing with us?
I really don't.
Okay. Hackathon.
But I would like is for this to actually fit in the screen. No. See, and then that's the other problem. When they go from like my screen to this, the resolution changes, and so the bottom of the slide gets cut off. Wasn't anticipating that either. So, I'm Elmer Masters, in case you didn't know, the Director of Technology for CALI. And I'm going to be talking about a new thing that's actually, it's new in that we finally figured out how to like give it a name. So, I'm going to be talking about eLangdell Lawbooks, and it's interesting. It has been around for a few years under different names, right? So, and we actually have one book that Diana Donahoe from Georgetown published on the platform almost 3 years ago now, and she's been very patient as the URLs have changed and the books moved around. But we're not changing the name anymore. It's lawbooks.cali.org, and that's all, because I feel bad for Diana that I have to about this time for the past couple of years, about this time in June, I'd be sending her a note saying, we changed the URL in your book again. So we're not doing that anymore. It's been at Lawbooks for a while. She's happy with it, I'm happy with it. So Lawbooks is a self-serve publishing platform for the CALI community, with a big emphasis on the self-serve part, which means that, like Classcaster, the intent here is for folks to go in and create their own materials and build it on their own with sort of minimal help from, from me mostly, or from Deb, or from John. It's a little bit more complicated to use in Classcaster, but I think most people will be able to deal with it. So, I know since I know there are people is half the board here, I think. Good morning. John's looking around. So eLangdell, one of the first things when we were sort of hashing out how all this works was that if we wanted to put the eLangdell name, because I've been calling it Lawbooks and course books and a whole bunch of different things over the past couple of years. And it really is sort of the eLangdell that we originally designed way too long ago, right? It has a lot of those rip, mix, learn elements that were in the original eLangdell specification. So I wanted to call it eLangdell, but we couldn't. We're already using that name for the Casebook project, right? And eLangdell Press and all that. So we spent some time talking about how to differentiate the two. So I'm here to say that CALI Langdell Lawbooks is not equal to. Oh, by the way, today I learned how to do the HTML entity for the not equal to sign. It turns out to be remarkably easy. So it's not the same as the eLangdell Casebook project, right? So I know some people here are intimately familiar with the eLangdell Casebook project, right? So this is from the eLangdell website, and it talks about the Casebook project. And you notice that this is all about, eLangdell Press publishes open casebooks. They're reviewed and edited by the editorial committee and the staff. They get licenses. They're available. They get marked as being part of eLangdell Press, and they're available for download and their print versions and all this great stuff. And so that project goes on, right? I mean, that's a and so eLangdell Press continues on, and the Casebook project continues on. But not everybody's book gets into that, right? And some people don't want to, they want to do something that's maybe a little bit different. So this is all you need to know about, and we'll take a look at this live a little bit later, but it's just add a new book. That's all. You log in, you need to add a new book. You don't need to apply for anything. There's no editorial committee or nothing like that. You just go in, you add a book, and you start throwing material in. By the way, none of this makes writing a book any easier. So hard. But it gives you a different platform for distribution and a way to organize it and get it out to your students. Also, eLangdell CALI Lawbooks isn't the same as Classcaster, right? So it's the same. It's based on the same platform. They're both WordPress, but Classcaster is a full-service sort of thing, and Lawbooks is intended purposefully to be a lot more known. So I actually reduced the whiteboard because this occurred to me at sort of to put this together very late, and I didn't feel like fiddling with tables in my slides. Because, still doing tables in HTML is no fun, right? But Lawbooks, so Lawbooks can be anything, right? A casebook, so, organized case materials, a treatise, a horn book, whatever, all those sorts of things. But it's really sort of, it's got that book metaphor going, and the website's organized that way. Classcaster, on the other hand, is blogging, right? So you can put all kinds of stuff in Classcaster. You can put you can add your syllabus. There's space for student interaction. You can do assessments, assignments, collaboration, a whole bunch of stuff, right? There's the phone-in podcasting thing. There's a lot of things going on with Classcaster. They're not in Lawbooks, right? And it makes sense that you may have both, right? So you may create your contracts book on lawbooks.cali.org, and then that's there. And then create a blog for your contracts class in Classcaster. You'll link back to the book for assignments, but you might put recordings of the class on Classcaster. Okay, so the two work together, but they're not the same thing. And I think it's important to differentiate amongst all this stuff, because sometimes it can all kind of blend together. So, quick rundown on the features for Lawbooks. So it's, like I mentioned, it's powered by WordPress, and then some WordPress plugins, Pressbooks, and the Pressbooks textbooks plugin. The Pressbooks is making some waves in the sort of open, independent publishing space, because they actually run a commercial service based on the same software, where people can go in and self-publish romance novels. I think it's their biggest category. Yeah, it is. Now, if anybody wants to write a romance novel around contracts, I guess you could probably,
I think torch would be a better topic.
Well, yeah, torch probably. Well, yeah, but that's easy. Yeah.
I think criminal law.
The jokes just write themselves.
They do. And then on top of Pressbooks, there's another layer called Pressbooks textbooks, which takes the Pressbook stuff, takes away the things that are useful to writers of romance fiction, and adds in stuff that is more useful to textbook writers. So it's geared at education. And that work is being done by an organization called BC Campus, the BC standing for British Columbia, and they provide educational technology resources to all of the public secondary or higher education, post-secondary higher education institutions in British Columbia. So they're behind a huge movement to convert all of the textbooks that are getting used in public universities and colleges in British Columbia to open format on this platform. And there are over 100 of them. there's just a huge list. They're doing a lot of great work. We can export stuff in multiple formats, right? So once it's in there, you know, you can get it out again as PDF. Students really like PDF. They print it out and then they can carry the paper around with them. EPUB, which you can read on various devices. You can also export it in the WordPress XML format, so you can move it, and that's actually important for something we're going to talk about later, which is sort of the mixed part. You can make copies of the entire book and just use it to create another book. And it's also useful if you want to import things from another blogging platform. We did that with the copyright book that's being written by
Brian
Fry. Yes, I was forgetting his first name. So by Brian Fry, he had effectively written the first draft of his book on Blogger. So we imported Blogger to Classcaster, and then we took the Classcaster WordPress XML and imported it into the Lawbooks platform. And that's a situation where Lawbooks is actually being used as the authoring platform for an eLangdell Press book, but that's not necessarily the norm at this point. It's just that I begged and pleaded to not make them turn it into a Word document. The whole thing is designed with open education resource publishing in mind, so it's open, right? You know, if you want to do something that you want to kind of lock behind passwords and stuff for your students, Classcaster is a much better fit. You know, I've got all kinds of security restrictions and stuff built in there. This is really Lawbooks. We intend it to be an open platform. Whoops, not that one, not yet. And it goes with the, you know, everything is intended to be Creative Commons licensed. There's I forget if we have 2 or 3 licenses. We're not using them all. But we're using a handful of the Creative Commons licenses on all of the books, and on each chapter, by the way. So, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later in the shortened demo part of the presentation. So that when people remix the books, which they can do inside this platform, the licensing travels with it, as does the attribution for original authors and that sort of stuff. And you can embed all sorts of things, right? So you can embed video and you can embed audio. You can embed CALI lessons, okay? You'll be able to, by sometime in the fall, embed cases that you can pull from FastCase. So you can bring an entire case in from FastCase if you have the citation from case, and import it into your book and edit it down or whatever you'd like to do. Yes, John?
So I want to make sure that gets emphasized. This is a huge deal. We have FastCases generously working with us so that you can go get almost any case that's published pulled into a book as soon as FastCase has it. That was a holy grail that we were struggling with 6 or 7 years ago when we tried to make a deal with, I can't remember, Case Clerk or something like that. Or years before that when I talked to the big guy saying, I want to do, you know, Casebook publishing, and they laughed.
Will you be able to edit the cases?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean, this is a huge deal. So in other words, people can take brand new cases and pull them into a Word chapter. Well, as fast as FastCase has them.
The caveat is it needs to have a citation.
Ah, that's
so it needs to have a citation that's recognizable. Now, FastCase is aware of the fact that, like for example, Supreme Court cases don't get citations for a little while when they come in. So they're looking at ways to expand the API to allow for additional ways. But there are also other ways, of course, to get like the HTML version of the case and that sort of stuff. But yeah, when you bring it in, it pops up in the window in the editor window, and you can edit it. You can edit it right there. And of course, if you're embedding a lot of things like media, video or audio, they work. They're fine on the website. Obviously, the exports PDF and other formats. It's not going to work as well. There are the EPUB. The newest version of EPUB, which is EPUB 3, allows for the embedding of media, and those will play on iPads. That format is still sort of experimental in the Pressbooks platform, so it's not quite working yet. But it does all work on the website, of course. So if they're looking at the book on the website and you've embedded video, they can watch it, as it's included. Okay. And then everything can be reused. The system allows for going through and searching for chapters that are in the system, and then importing those into your own book. And they carry attribution with them and that sort of stuff. But that's sort of the intent, right? That's the mixed part of what we've hoped to be able to do for quite a long time ago. So with everything being able to be reused, I think that's a big deal, because you don't need to. You can actually if there are 3 or 4 or 5 tax books, which someday we're going to have, loaded into the system, for example, or a half dozen contract books or whatever, you can pull chapters from different authors, add your own material, edit the chapters, put it all together in a book that you can then publish on the platform, right? And you can assign it to your students. You then make it available for the wider community also to use, so that everybody can, it all makes it. It's all that quick mix learn thing, right? So this was the theme of the conference when we were at Nova back in 2006. 2006, yeah. And the early specifications for eLangdell, which were built on this idea of quick mix learn, are at least that old. And that's what we wanted to do, right? We wanted to be able to give faculty a core of material, which we now have with the eLangdell Casebooks, right? So the eLangdell Casebooks are available in this system. They provide the core for sort of starting places if you don't want to start your own, right? And then you can sort through that material, select what you want, add your own, right? That's the next part, and then publish it and assign it to your students. That's the learning part, and we get all of that. I'm really happy with it. So the specific stuff, I've hit on a lot of this already, right? So faculty can create things, right? So you don't have to start from the ground, or you can start from the ground up if you want. As I noted before, of course, writing a casebook is still hard. This doesn't make it any easier. It's just a different place to do it, right? Instead of Word. You can find things to use, right? So you'll be able to search. You can search through the platform for material that's already there and adopt and adapt that material also. So you're not limited to sort of whatever you come up with. You can copy, reorganize, edit that material that you find. So if you've got a particular way that you like to teach a subject or a topic that's at variance with with the books that are there, or something new pops up, you can get it in there and you can reorganize stuff fairly quickly. And then you can assign it to your students, and they'll be able to. Well, I think that's next. This is what students can do. So you assign it to students. They can read it on the website, right? They want to do that. Some of them do. I don't know. There are chapters in some of the books that run in the 100,000 word space. That's like one chapter. And it displays as one big long HTML page. So it's an awesome scroll. It loads pretty quick because it's just text. So, you know, it pops right up. There's not any performance issues with it. But it's a long scroll, right? One of the things, when you're working with this, and these are books that we've imported, so it's a little bit different. When you're actually working with this, what tends to happen when folks are authoring in this, their chapters get shorter because they become aware of the fact that people are scrolling. And so stuff tends to get shorter. And it just becomes sort of more chapters, right? So that 100,000 word chapter might get broken up into 4 or 5.
Can I pause there? That's an interesting observation because in the traditional publishing market, there's probably I'll say this and please disagree with me if I'm wrong. A casebook is typically 800 pages or 600 pages, or at least the publisher will tell you, I need 500 pages on tour because that's what they want to purchase or something like that. And so there's a sense of having to fill up that space. Not granted with that mitigated by, well, I don't have anything more to say about that, and so next chapter or something like that.
There's been
and in the web space, there's less of that in the latter because you're not trying to sell a packaged thing that has a physical size anymore. It can be smaller, and so now maybe people will naturally only write to the size they need. I'm making sort of an offhand observation.
There's been a trend for particularly first-year courses, which are taught as 3, 4, or 5, or 6 credits at schools, to have a much broader variety of textbooks, so that because faculty were very frustrated at having to use the 1,000-page textbook to teach a 3 or 4 credit class, which had traditionally been 2 semesters, 6 credits. So in the last few years, I've seen in the first-year courses a huge increase in the range of anything from 400 to 1,000 pages in a first-year book.
And the other thing that you have, of course, is the ability to, because it's on the web, obviously, the ability to link out to stuff, right? So, things that might have been included in the body, or maybe even included in footnotes, might now just be links out, and you let your students know, yes, they're responsible for reading what you're linking to, and that sort of stuff.
And we should point out that that's both a positive and negative on our side of this, is that because we don't want to, nobody should put a Creative Commons on an imported New York Times article that they stick into this. But they don't own it, they can't do that. And so a link is better for those types of situations, which might make the book shorter, or at least make them more linky. Which is maybe more natural for the type of things that they're talking about.
Is there a built-in link checker so you can go back a year later and make sure all your links are still working?
Yeah, there actually are. That capability is available. Yeah, because that is an issue, right? I mean, you want to keep that. You want to keep that up. That's a problem. And
have you considered using one of the services that is provided to create solutions to link run, like
PermaCC?
Yeah, I mean we've looked at PermaCC and that sort of stuff, and I have sort of a long-term idea to build that kind of functionality in. Because if you use something like PermaCC, then you've got a better chance of being able to keep that stuff. And one would assume, since PermaCC's mission is kind of about scholarship and that sort of stuff, as opposed to just sort of saving every link everywhere. That it being a casebook or legal education materials, that certainly falls into the scholarship space that PermaCC sort of covers. And then we've even looked at that for lessons, haven't we, Deb?
Yeah, all the legal research lessons.
Yeah.
They're the most link heavy.
Yeah.
Have had traditional links replaced with PermaCC.
Does everybody know what PermaCC is and does? Anybody not know what it does? A couple people, can you explain it?
It's one of those things that Keith brings up every once in a while. It's like, have you told our journals about this? And I'm like, I need to research it. It's from Harvard, right?
You want me to take a try? And then
Yeah,
you
you
can
try.
correct me? So because there's link rot, because there's all sorts of things out there that you click through a year later and it says that's not there anymore, what PermaCC does is take a picture of links, like a screenshot, and stick them in a database. And then you use the link to the PermaCC instead, so that you will never have link rot. Right? But there's intellectual property issues around that, and I imagine that Harvard is working through those things.
Jim Liebert and Rizal Liebert, who were both at John Marshall in Chicago, wrote an article for the New York Times that looked into link rot specifically as a legal issue, and they did an analysis of how many Supreme Court cases, like the justices were linking to things to cement their arguments that were now gone. And what does that mean for people interpreting their arguments? And so this was a solution to that problem, specifically looking at it from a legal perspective.
Right, so we use them in CALI lessons because an awful lot of lessons on legal research look at screenshots of websites that do legal research, and then the interface changes. And if there's any discussion in the lesson about, click the button on the right side of the screen that's orange, and it's not on the right side of the screen or orange or present, well, the PermaCC will at least give the student the context that, well, at one point it was there. And maybe they can, maybe we can mitigate the problem of link rot until we can go in and update the lesson, which takes a little bit longer in the cycle production.
So students can read things and do all the amazing things we just talked about. They can download, right? So they'll be, they can grab the PDF version, which our eLangdell Casebook work tells us already is what they want to do. So the PDF version will be popular. They'll be able to download an ebook version that'll play on their mobile devices. They'll have the ability to sort of download the blog, the XML if they want to do things. There's an ability to annotate and highlight, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. Using the hypothesis system.
.is.
Yeah, .is. It's hypothesis, but it's hypothe.is or something. Anyway, the hypothesis annotation system is wired into this so that you can create and share highlighting and in multiple colors, I might add, because we all know that's important. I was in like Office Max or something, I saw a set of highlighters that, how you can get like the 64 color markers? Well, I saw highlighters like that. And the only thing I immediately thought of was some poor law student with brain slip. Because I just remember when like 3 was like plenty, or maybe 4, and then if you were beyond that, you're getting carried away. But 64, I don't know. But they can do annotations with this system, and that's actually a big deal because that's one of the things that we know stops law students, and actually a lot of students generally, from using electronic materials, is the ability to annotate and mark up that stuff, right? Because that's what they do. That's part of how they study and learn, and it tends to work.
And they can get their annotations out of the system.
They can get their annotations out of the system.
It's not a silo.
It's not a silo, yeah, so they can.
Any company you have in mind?
No, but this is our attempt to start solving the problem that if you have 9 different commenting systems, then your educational annotations for a student are all over the place, and that's pretty damn inconvenient. The ideal would be like a centralized thing like Discus or one of those other sort of things, but those are a little wiggy as well. So the next best thing is to at least let people get their stuff out of your system in a format that they can dump into Word or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, stuff that I've looked at in the past, and the hypothesis system is also open source, so we could run our own, if we wanted to. I mean, if hypothesis sells itself to Google or whatever, because or that, and we decided that we wanted to do something else. I mean, we could sort that out. And students can also make copies, right? So just like a faculty member could make a copy of the book to edit and rearrange, a student could make a copy of the book for their study purposes, right? So they could have their own copy that they, that they turn into an outline for the class, right? Or that they, that they edit out the parts that they don't think are important. Now I know as a faculty member, you're probably thinking, are they gonna like miss stuff? Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the thing is that they may be doing that now, for all you know, with print stuff, right? They skip lots of things, or they don't, or they read the whole book. But they'll be able to make a copy just like faculty can. One thing I'm looking into is the sort of findability thing, because we want to sort of note, like this is like a copy that a student's using for something, versus this is a copy that a faculty member's using for teaching, because there could be different things going on. Yes.
When they download, are they downloading everything or just their annotations? Could they choose like, I only want to download one color of annotations, and that could become their outline?
Actually, I don't know, because the download with the hypothesis stuff, with getting your stuff out it's possible, but it's one of those things that you also have to have something to kind of download to make it useful. But that's actually an interesting question, and worth looking into. Whoops! That was the last slide. So that means it must be time to do the demo. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Steve.
Are there location markers that stay consistent from EPUB to online or whatever version? So if I'm talking in class, I can refer them to a location?
No, I mean other than the chapter. I mean the issue there actually has to go with with sort of the way that I mean page 37 just doesn't actually exist as a thing anymore, right? That's the problem. And that's actually an issue because if you're dealing with a long paragraph, one of those 100,000 word chapters, directing somebody to a specific spot inside of that can be tricky. And I've looked at, but have not implemented anything that things that will do stuff like have paragraph like numbers in a given chapter. And that's likely to be the kind of solution that we'll put in, because you're right, you do need to be able to say across whatever platform it is that we're looking at chapter 9, and you need to go to paragraph like 23, right? Because without some sort of internal marker, it is hard to refer to a specific spot.
Having some kind of like anchor tab with a shared button on it would probably solve that problem. People don't even need to know how it's working as long as there's a share function.
Yeah, as long as that's there. And so that's a thing to definitely look into. Yeah.
Well, Amazon solves that with a new technology called True Pages.
Is that how they do that location thing for the ones that aren't
Well, they always had locations, but you got the paper book. You're like, what's the location, right? So now they have this thing called True Pages in the ebook that actually tell you what the page is on various
not all of them have
paper books. But it's right, it's an optional thing, and it's a proprietary thing. It's not like they publish that as open. But this is a bigger problem than law books or ed books. It's an entire ebook problem, and so the solution should come. I don't want us to build something that works only in our small space. It's going to come from the larger industry.
Well, and she's right. If I'm writing the book, or if I'm adopting the book for class, I could always mark it myself with something.
Right.
If I know I'm going to refer that particular passage, just mark it and have a search for that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing. I was thinking you can add like those anchor tags. So if you've got your syllabus online, it links directly into where you want them to go. And we're looking at. And this is like really early, and this is the part where John always gets nervous because he always starts talking about things he only discovered last week. But but when I was building my slide deck infrastructure, one of the things that I discovered is that there are systems out there that actually work that allow you to give a URL to your class, right? So you go to a special URL. And then you bring up that URL, and as you click through things, their browser follows along. Okay, so and if their attention wanders, right, so they open up a tab in ESPN, the next time you change the page, it brings that tab, that refresh tab, back to the top.
So you laugh, but that sounds like a killer feature for
It is.
faculty.
It's a big deal for education, period, right? Because you want to be able to use the tools, but you want to keep the noise out, right? And you know that it's there. I mean, there's the whole part about not having wireless in the classrooms. That's, forget about that, right? If you're allowing computers in your classrooms, any kind of devices at all, they're going to get to the network, right? So at least if you harness the tools that are available and make them work for you, then you can sort of, at least have some kind of control over, sort of what's going on in the room. So.
And that's browser-based, so it's not
It's all
operating
browser-based,
system
yeah.
or app or
Yeah.
nothing to install.
Yeah, and it should work across the most recent generations of browsers, right? So Firefox and Chrome especially, and Safari. So yes, that's that's also an interesting possibility in the future to sort of to look at these things. So this is the lawbooks.cali.org website. And we actually have John's, the Ripmix learning part of John's keynote is actually here from 2006, CALIcon15. And it's actually, John's given a number of talks over the years, and I've seen a few of them.
Wait, you paid attention to a few?
I actually go back and listen to this about twice a year. I know it sounds a little weird, and as John knows, I'm definitely not kissing up to him or anything. But I actually find this particular talk inspirational, right? The ideas that are here have sort of guided the work we've done, the work that I've done, and the work we've done on this and on a bunch of other stuff, as a way to sort of clarify what it is that that we want to do here in this space. And then if you scroll down below that, you get to see a giant collection. So like right now, this is basically all of our books. Man, are they big! So this is we took the eLangdell books. So the eLangdell bookstore is still on the main CALI website, and that's still where people go to download download the primary versions of all that stuff. But we've also loaded them in here to provide sort of that base material for folks to work with. Okay, and then and then here's where it gets dangerous, because if we pick one, so we can go with volume 1 of Kirby. So and so this is then what the book looks like, right? So we've got just a little bit of information. There's a big red read button, so nobody gets terribly confused. But also here's the table of contents displays, on the site, and you can actually get into the book from any one of these links. The book description in this one hasn't been entered. There's information here, a publication, the publisher, and the author, the Creative Commons license, and the big old CALI logo. Are all in there. Now, if we hit the read button and hold our breath, okay, there we go. So this drops us right into the book, right? So we're right at this title page. It sort of falls into the not much to see here thing. And the whole thing's sort of socialized. So if you really need to let your Facebook friends know that you're reading a particular chapter of Kirkian contracts. Because I know your grandma's just sitting there waiting for you to a chapter of Kirky. You can do that, and then there are little navigational elements through things. We also
to be serious for a moment about those. You can think of those as placeholders for when there are genuine social education networks.
Yeah.
In which, or study group type situations where that type of liking or signaling would be valid in an educational setting.
We discussed actually using private Facebook groups as a way to have an offline forum for classes in one of the sessions yesterday.
Okay.
And then, so this is a table of contents that you can pop up from anywhere you're at, and you can take a look at a particular chapter. So we'll jump into offer here. So this is chapter 11, and this is it's pretty standard. And it goes, of course, it goes on quite some. And things like footnotes and all that sort of stuff work, as in through the whole thing, and you can you can move around inside the book, and it's kind of there's that.
Show us an annotation.
Yeah, I'm getting that. So, well, because we actually don't have annotations turned on in our main on the eLangdell press books yet.
Gotcha.
Because I still have to work on some interface issues. Because I got a theme and a bug in a theme that I need to sort out, and when I can do that, then I can figure out what's going on. But if we do want to take a look, oh look, annotations, right? So this is a copy of the Park McFarland book, Computer-Aided Exercises in Civil Procedure. Also, one of the very few books actually built around CALI lessons. So that's kind of awesome. So you can see the annotations here, and I've logged into my hypothesis thing. I can turn the annotations on and off, okay, like that. I can see the notes that I've made. So I can actually make notes, and I can tag notes, okay, all through things. I can get rid of them if I want to. If I'm adding new notes, and the notes aren't necessarily tied to specific annotations, they may be, but they don't have to be. But when we open the annotation window, we can see where the annotations are sort of popping up. And annotations can be public, or they can be available only to me. The only me is probably more useful than public, because the sort of public annotations then end up in some kind of weird social network that Hypothesis runs that might be kind of cool if you're annotating a copy of a Harry Potter book, possibly less useful for Verkirky or
Well, wait a minute. I mean, Case Text is making a whole business around public annotation of case law.
They're trying to make a whole business around the public annotation of case law. So, but they're using some of this technology in that, by the way. But really? They're building it into their site. Yeah.
Is there a level in between only me and public? Like, I think it would be really useful to have annotations that I share with my entire class, or for an instructor to share my own annotations.
Yeah, that's when we have to like post it ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah, and because that would be the thing, right? You create a copy of this book for your study group, right? As a one-out. They still have study groups, right? They're not law school from last time. Things could have changed. I don't know what they do.
They still do.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have so you create a copy of the book for your study group, right? And then you have like some kind of group annotation feature or the ability to share the annotations. If multiple people were annotating here, we would see different because this is a public version of the book. So we would see that there were different people annotating. So yeah, I mean the idea of having some sort of group annotation is actually really interesting, and definitely somewhere where we want to go with this. So and actually doing annotations. So let's go down here a little bit because I've kind of. Oh, and here are these. Let's see. This doesn't have the. This just has direct links out to lessons. By the way, they don't. Right now we can do an embedding kind of thing, but that hadn't been done yet. So, so students can jump out and run lessons. if you're building, by the way, if you're building these things, if you're creating a book, when you customize it for your class, you could embed lesson links here, right? So that you provide some information, some stuff to read, and then you use lesson link to link to a CALI lesson, and then you can get that information back on how the students did on the lesson, right? So it all ties together. Which is the other thing. We do try to keep everything sort of linked together so we don't end up with, we want all of our stuff to make legal education better. So let's see, we're going to do some highlighting. So if we do, okay, so I highlight some text, and that's just the regular, the way you would just regularly highlight it with, with your mouse, right? You just drag your mouse over it, and you get that little extra box pops up, and we can mark that to highlight, right? Which it does. And then, if we want to do a note based on that, let's see how to do this. We can hit again, and we can do maybe a comment, right? So what this does with the comment is it includes the highlighted material, right? So if you need to, if you need to then, you can just say do these lessons. And so there's a possibility, for example, in terms of the group. I mean, you can also imagine comments for a class, right? So as a faculty member, you can go in and highlight parts of the thing. If you don't want to edit the whole thing, maybe you just want to go in and highlight some of it, right? So you make a copy for your class, do highlights, and then have the students, check your notes on particular things, right? And then they could, they could come back and, let's see, that's a problem. Okay, well, anyway, if it was working today, you would hit the save button, and that would actually create the let me switch it to only means. Nope. Okay. So you have the annotations. And it is worth noting that hypothesis throws this on all of the comments that you make, as all the annotations that you make, and that's the choice that they made system-wide as a way to sort of cover anything that they might possibly end up doing with the stuff that you save on the system.
What does that say on there?
Oh, it's a CC0 public domain license.
Oh.
So it says that annotations can be freely be used for anyone by anyone for any purpose, which is not necessarily from an educational. Again, it might be fine if you're commenting on Harry Potter novels. In an educational context, a little bit less. And that's partly why I'm looking at running our own annotation server, right? So that we have a little bit more control. We want the data to be open, right? So that we want the data to be free and that people can take it with them when they leave and that sort of stuff. But we do want to, you want to create a situation, right, where students are free to comment on things without, thinking about, geez, this could be used by anyone for any purpose, right? I'd rather have them be able to create whatever comments they want that are visible mainly to them or by their choice with, with a group of people, right? Their class or their faculty member or their study group, but not by anybody. So this isn't a perfect system, but it does work mostly. So there is that. And it's a place to start in terms of developing this thing. So, anybody have any questions? The really cool thing that I really was excited to demo, partly is search for other chapters and then use them to create your book. The search part is working. But when I tested it this morning, the import part wasn't working. So you can search and find chapters that you want to use, and you click the little box, and you click the button that says, add this to my book that I just created, doesn't have anything yet. and you get nothing. So I've sent error logs off to the developers, because that's what you do. And and hopefully they'll figure out what that problem was. And it might have something to do with the bug in the theming.
So we can't remix, like if we took Verkerky, I can't remix it yet, but I'm gonna be able to?
You
So like
can
I wanna
remix it.
take
If you
chapter
make that-
4 and make it now chapter 1?
Yeah, you can do that, because you can take an entire, you'll be able to take, you can take the entire book and put it in, like right now. You can move the entire book. I shouldn't say right now. How about Monday?
Maybe Tuesday.
I'm not sure if we've done all the exports that you need, but there's a, it's basically a thing where you would take an export, you would download the XML file, basically, and then upload it back to the system, and that would give you a whole fresh new copy of Verkerky, and then you're free, that works. And then you're free to rearrange it and edit it however you want.
But there'll be like an icon for that eventually?
Yeah.
Because that would be clever.
Yeah. And but the really neat part though is being able to sort of pick and choose chapters
Well,
just from the list. That's,
Exactly.
And because the export import thing is, I mean, it's not that complicated, and it's sort of, and it's not terribly different than, you know, somebody sending you a Word file and then opening it up, opening it up in Word again. But it's, it's enough to, I used words like export, import, XML in one sentence, and people are like, so I get that. But I should, well, I mean, I could submit it, just because if you download the file and then you just open it, and and that is kind of the same thing. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.